Hello, my treasured viewers, and welcome back to Alfonso the Rothschild tutorial, a channel dedicated to helping all of us have a better grasp of English language for our everyday communication, in business transaction, in family matters, and on formal occasions. For many months, we have not been publishing videos on this channel because of some technical difficulties that we had to overcome. But the good news is that we are back to our favorite channel. And I ask you to let us feel your pulse beat by telling us exactly the direction that you want our lessons to take. What are the areas of English language that you are deficient? What are the things you think you can do? What are the devices we can impute? What are the strategies you think we should adopt to make this channel serve all of us better? You see, the development we have around the world today, especially the effects of globalization, has made it imperative that as a citizen of the world, you should have enough grasp of English language, a language which is one of the foremost international languages in the world. It's important, for instance, that you understand how to communicate effectively in English language. Today in Nigeria, for instance, as a part of our global community, we are all experimenting on public speaking on the social media, shooting this or that kind of video and trying to get views in order to earn a living. In doing this, however, we Nigerians have exposed ourselves as the poorest in communication in English among the 4 Anglophone countries in West Africa. Of course, this cannot be otherwise in a country where far greater importance is attached to certificate acquisition, up to a point that many Nigerian young people no longer bother about knowledge. They no longer want to acquire knowledge. All they want is to have the certificate, and then, hooray, they think they have made it. But of course, you cannot cheat nature. If you do not know something, the deficiency that you suffer in that field of life is like smoke going after you wherever you are, because there cannot be smoke without fire. So this is why it is all the more important that we develop interest in English language. In a few months' time in this year, thousands of our students in the secondary school will be sitting for the WAEC SSE examination and the Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination conducted by the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, JAM. And so, this video is very important for the WAEC prospects and the JAM prospects. It is not all about finding the correct answer and picking it. No, it goes beyond that. Now, if you watch this video, like it and share it, I have a promise. I will give you, especially if you subscribe to our channel, if you become a part of our community and subscribe to our channel, I'll give you a set of 100 questions, 100 past questions answered correctly. Of course, I will be treating many other such questions on this channel, but I'll give one especially for you. I'll keep it especially for you if you subscribe to this channel, like our videos, and share them so that they will have a wider reach. You see, why as a teacher, someone who has had a 3-decade experience of instructing students on English language, it is necessary that I tell you that studying past questions is a lazy person's way of preparing for an examination. If I construct a question on English language and give you the correct answer, you have not learned. The fact that I have given you the correct answer does not mean your knowledge has grown. Because if I set a similar question, you will not be able to answer it. Therefore, what is important is the knowledge first. Understand the nitty-gritties, the rudiments of the language. Once you understand this, if a question is asked and the correct answer is given, you will know why it is the correct answer. And if the answer given is incorrect, you will know why it is incorrect because you have the correct answer. This is not the case when someone gives you past questions completely answered. It is an easier way of crossing a bridge that you know you have to cross by stepping, by having concrete steps above the sea. Flying over the bridge is a deception because you will still come back. If you try to fly over the bridge, you will drop into the water. That is what it is like. So we'll be giving you the knowledge here, and as I give you the knowledge, when I answer past questions, you will better understand why the answers I've given to you are correct. Let's take a look at the board. It says, understanding the simple present tense. So we want to begin by discussing tenses. Tenses are very important, just like concord and any other aspect of English language that has to do with verbs. Tenses are very important because they have to do with verbs. Verbs are the most important of the 7 parts of speech. The reason being that no sentence can be made without a verb. In fact, the very definition of a sentence includes a verb. A speaker or writer in English language can frequently speak without using an adjective, write without using an adverb or an adjective, speak without using a pronoun, write a sentence without a conjunction. All of these are possible, but you can't make a sentence without a verb. That is why most of the grammatical errors that people commit in spoken and written English have to do with the incorrect use of verbs. And the discussion of tenses borders on the correct use of verbs. Let us take a look at what we have here. Understanding the simple present tense. If you understand it, you'll be in a better position to communicate fluently and effectively. In the WAEC examination hall, you will write your letters impeccably. You will write your articles impeccably. And you respond to questions taken from comprehension passages and summary passages effectively. Because the ability to write is already there. Now, when we talk about tenses, we mean that when we speak in English language, that we often speak about events that happen at 3 different times: the present time, the past time, and the future time. At the present, we remember the past. At the present, we talk about the future. And then at the present, we talk about what is happening here, now, or what we feel like at the moment. When we talk about the simple present, we mean talking about how often a piece of action is repeated. That is the first use of the simple present tense we want to talk about. The commonest use. It is called habitual action. That is when a speaker is not talking about an action happening at the moment, but is just talking about how often or how frequently a given piece of action is repeated. It is this that is referred to as a simple present tense. Now let us take a look at one of such tenses. If we have a sentence that says, This sentence says, the milkmaid attends to the heifer every day. Take a look at the verb attends. Attends. It tells us how often the milkmaid attends to the heifer. There is a word here, every day. It is called an adverb. An adverb. A word or group of words that adds more meaning to the action of a verb is called an adverb or an adverbial. If it is a single word, it is called an adverb. If it is a group of words, we call it an adverbial. Depending on what information it gives about the verb, it can be an adverbial of time, of place, of manner, of degree, of condition, and so on and so forth. In this example, every day is an adverbial of frequency. Some old English instructors call it the adverb of quantity. It is the same as adverbial of frequency. It talks about how often a piece of action takes place. The milkmaid attends to the heifer every day. Now let us take another example. This sentence says, the delivery man drives the detergent lorry. What does the delivery man do? Drives the detergent lorry. In number 2, we have not said every day, but it is possible that the delivery man drives the detergent lorry every day or every week or every hour. Or we can say daily, or we can say weekly, or we can say hourly, or he drives it monthly. All of these are examples of adverbials of frequency. But what I'm trying to say is that it is not necessary that every sentence in the simple present tense must end with an adverbial of frequency. No. The verb itself, like drives and attends, already implies continuity or frequency, that the action is often repeated. It is something the subject does every time or regularly. For instance, the delivery man drives the detergent lorry. Does not mean he drove it once in the past. He drives means that is his job. He does it every time. Number 3 is a question, an interrogative sentence, also in the simple present tense. When you make sentences in English language, when you learn how to make sentences, you have to learn how to make your sentence as a statement, make a sentence as a question, make a sentence as a request, make a sentence as a command. These are the 4 forms of sentences. That means you have the complete skill in sentence construction. It says, when does the train depart the station? The verb is does depart. That is a question. We have the auxiliary does before the lexical form of the verb, which is depart. When does the train depart the station? It doesn't say, when does the train depart? No. With this example, the S that we have in the other verbs is contained in the auxiliary. The other verb that follows, which I called lexical verb, is the infinitive form of the verb that expresses the action. Let us take a first example. Request. It says, could you please listen? Could you please listen? It's a request. The verb is listen. The lexical verb is listen. The auxiliary is could. Could you please listen? Number 5 says, stay away from the puppies. Stay away from the puppies. That's a command. Stay away from the puppies. So our first two sentences, 1 and 2, are statements. The third one is a question. The fourth one is a request, while the fifth one is a command, or what we usually call an imperative sentence in English language. Take a look at words like every day, weekly, daily, hourly, monthly, on Saturdays, every time, always, normally, usually, etc. These words are adverbials. There are words or group of words that go with a verb to show that the verb is used to talk about an action that is usually repeated, to talk about how often a piece of action is repeated. They are used to intensify the simple present tense. Example 6, on Sundays, we visit the museum. We visit the museum. Sentence 6 says, on Sundays we visit the museum. When? On Sunday. That means it happens every Sunday. And the verb is visit. The subject is we, the pronoun, and it is plural. That is why the verb is plural, visit. Compare visit to attends and drives, where the subject, the delivery man, and the milkmaid, each is singular. Each of them is followed by a singular verb. But we is plural and is followed by a plural verb, visit. Number 7, Clara and Ike take a stroll along the sidewalk. They take, this is the verb. Clara is a singular subject. Ike, a singular subject, but together, Clara and Ike give us a plural subject. And so the plural verb, take, agrees in number with the subject of the sentence. All right. I will wipe some parts of what we've written already. It is becoming common for Nigerians to say, I used to visit my aunt. I used to go to the market on weekends, when they mean they do these things every day or every weekend. That is incorrect. Even though many people say it, the fact that many people commit a grammatical blunder does not make it Queen's English. It is incorrect to say used to. When you talk about something you often repeat, an action you often repeat, that is the simple present tense. In the simple present tense, you use the base form of the verb. For instance, the verb stay is the base form of the verb to stay, which is called an infinitive. An infinitive. The base form. When we say the base form, we mean the verb in its natural form before it begins to change forms or appearance. For example, to stay can become stay or stays. Then it can change to staying. Then it can change to stayed. These are the various forms. But the base form is when no change has occurred to it. It is that base form that we use as a simple present tense. Now, if you say, I used to draw water from the neighborhood well early every day. I used to, it's incorrect when you mean this is what you still do every day. What should you say? Say, that should be our sentence, number 8. Early in the morning, you put a comma. Early in the morning, I draw water from the neighborhood well every morning. I do what? I draw water from the neighborhood well. That means I do it every morning. It is incorrect to say I used to draw water. When should you use used to? I want to educate you. Used to is one of 12 modal auxiliary verbs. In future, we will talk about modal auxiliary verbs. Used to is one of 12 modal auxiliary verbs that perform special functions that we'll discuss at the time. But for today, I would like to say that the only time you can say used to correctly is when you are talking about an action that took place in the past but which no longer takes place. An action that ended in the past. So when you say used to, you mean it doesn't happen anymore, but that was the case in the past. I'll give you an example. This should be our number 9. But it is not simple present tense. I'm trying to illustrate how to use used to and not to confuse it with the simple present tense. I like us to compare sentence 9 and 10. Sentence 9 says, Mr. Francis used to smoke heavily, but he gave it up 2 years ago. Used to. That means as at 2 years ago, Mr. Francis was a heavy smoker. Then the writer says, but he gave it up, meaning he stopped 2 years ago. Mr. Francis used to be a heavy smoker, but he gave it up 2 years ago. That is simple past tense. Something someone did in the past and completed it in the past. It no longer happens at present. Now remember, we don't say use. It is not used to. It is used. Used to. This verb is permanently past tense. Permanently simple past tense. It doesn't have a present form and it doesn't have a progressive form. What do I mean? It doesn't end in ing. So someone cannot say, I used to using, or I was using to. No. It's simply I used to. Simple past tense. I did something. Or I normally did something in the past, which I no longer do at present. So once you say I used to, your listener understands you're talking about what you no longer do. Mommy used to care more when we were kids. That means that mommy no longer cares now that we're no longer kids. Daddy used to drive a Toyota while I was in secondary school. That means Daddy no longer drives a Toyota, but he did it in the past. Then sentence 10 shows us how we can construct the same sentence if we mean that it is simple present. If we mean that this is what Mr. Francis still does, then it should read, Mr. Francis smokes heavily. That means it is a habitual action. I am your usual instructor, Ogochukwuonuoha. And today we have taken a look at just one small part of the simple present tenses. That is the simple present tense. That's one simple aspect of the present tenses, beginning with the simple present tense. And I hope you have learned something. If you have, please like and share this video and subscribe to our channel so that we will give you more of these kind of videos. You now understand what I said at the beginning. Now you've understood the simple present tense. So in your JAM or WAEC examination, a sentence is constructed with a blank. And the sentence ends with an adverbial. Or it does not end with an adverbial. But there is no other verb in the option that fits into the blank except one that says or implies that the action is usually repeated. Then you know what answer to choose. It will be a different thing entirely if I simply tell you this is the correct answer, this is the correct answer, and you do not know how I came by the correct answer. We will stop here and I invite you to join me on our next video where we will still be talking about the simple present tenses. You remember that the three tense areas have 4 phases. For instance, the simple present, the present progressive, the present perfect, and the present perfect progressive make up the present tenses. So in our next class, we shall be talking about the second segment or phase of the simple present tenses, and that will be the present progressive tense. Have a nice time for yourselves and stay out of trouble and take your English seriously because that is your certificate. That is your certificate to being able to represent yourself effectively outside. Thank you very much.